Welcome, everybody, to Frax Check, your weekly Frax vibe check. I am your host, Capital K, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, DeFi Dave,
What's
and our
good?
producer extraordinaire, Sam, who will join us shortly. And we'll be going straight to the source of the truth via checking the chain. But before we jump in, please smash that subscribe button. We're on a march to 10,000 and we need your help to get there. So please, you don't have to be aggressive. You could just tap it as well. And also, please follow us at Flywheelpod on Twitter and Telegram. DeFi Dave,
What's
my
good?
guy, my
How's it
bro.
going? Hey, are we?
This week, I call this week, please make it stop.
Please make it stop. No.
Please. Moment of silence. All right, let's begin with the regular programming first. As always, we have the peg check. We had the peg check here as high as $1, as low as 0.998. Peg check strong. We go over to the curve swap. We swap, as always, $100 million of Frax for USDC. And as you see here, it is not a great swap. You are going to lose almost 1.16% from this swap. So it's an expensive swap. You will lose $1 million when swapping $100 million out of Frax. Reason being is there is a massive imbalance in the pool right now of basically 75 to 25 Frax for USDC. And the team know it, the team's on it. So just hang tight and be careful of slippage, guys. So, but fret not, because we're going to move forward to our collateralization ratio. Here we see our collat at 87.5%, which is pretty much unchanged from last week. And remember, we are only looking at the collateralization percent for the outstanding Frax, meaning the Frax stablecoin that is not controlled by the Frax protocol. Okay. And we have 87.5% for that. Following, we have the decent percent, which is short for decentralization percent. And we had a tiny, bounce from the all-time low last week. We're now at 13%, which is a increase of 1.8% from last week. So across the board, still very, very much bear market vibes for these two metrics.
At least there's a little bump.
A little bump. We want to see the collateralization ratio at the low 80s. So we're kind of getting.
Doesn't Sam say that like he wants it at 100?
For the I mean, in the bull market, we're at the low 80, meaning capital efficient.
Oh yeah.
But, yes, we can crank it up to 100% if we so choose. But 80. I always take this as like a confidence indicator in Frax, right? The lower it goes, the more people are down to have FXS as part of the collat. But yeah, so right now we're at the 87s, and ideally we want to see this in the low 80s, 81, 82. And for the decent percent, we want this to be back at the 30s. Like, this is honestly more concerning to me, is this decentralization percent.
I agree.
But, it also kind of raises the question, like, what if once Frax gets the FMA, which tune in, we have a special one tomorrow. We have a special one for tomorrow. I'm not going to reveal what that stands for. You have to tune in tomorrow to watch the pod. But, once Frax has the FMA, what's going to happen with this decentralization percent?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Think about that. Scary. But anyways, jumping on, quick summary of the health check. We have the peg, strong. Curve swap, need some assistance. Collat percent, we're getting back to the low 80s. Decent, we bounce from the low. So, all righty. Now, we begin our new segment of Frax Check, where we check on Frax ETH. And as always, we start with the peg. And the peg here is 0.9999. Talk about a strong peg. Like, ooh, that's good. That's good. Now, you can't just look at a sticker price. I always got to go into the market. So I look at the curve for the Frax ETH to ETH pool. You see here, I am swapping 8,905 ETH. That translates to about $10 million of Frax ETH. That is a lot, right? The pool itself only has like 11,000, kind of Frax ETH in here. So I'm smashing the pool pretty heavily, and I come out at a 0.9861. Like for this one, I feel kind of confident using this large number because unlike the Frax base pool, like this pool is balanced. Like it could take that hit. And currently right now, I don't believe anybody holds a amount larger than 8,905 Frax ETH. Next week, I'll figure out who is the largest holder and how much do they hold of Frax ETH, and I'll let you guys know.
Ooh.
And then I'll start using that number to see if this whale were to dump, what happens. But anyways, the check here is strong, in my opinion. And we have 65% of the Frax ETH supply in curve. And for good reason, because as projected on Convex, it's about to earn like 10.5% APR. So clear reason. Remember, native staking yield is about 5 to 7. So you clearly see people why they will want to flock to the 10% here. Now, moving on, let's take a look at the count. Let's see where we are. We are at 17,000 Frax ETH, my guys. 17,000 Frax ETH. That is a lot. That represent like almost a 2x from last week. You see that?
See that hockey stick. That hockey stick.
Yes. Talk about PMF. Talk about PMF, right? This is clearly the flywheel working. And on the right-hand side, you see the stake percent. Remember, Frax ETH has a, almost dual token type system where there is the Frax ETH and then there's sFrax ETH, which is the staked Frax ETH. And the native staking yield goes to all staked Frax ETH. So if if people are parking their Frax ETH in Curve, that means the 34% that is parked in the sFrax ETH vault gets more of the staking yield. So if you were to do some, math and calculation on your end, you'll figure out that 5 to 7% is actually much, much higher. So the folks in the Frax ETH stake is probably taking a much more conservative approach, just kind of parking their ETH there and just collecting that sweet
yield.
Yes. And now let's take a look at a summary check. We have peg strong, perf swap strong, count up only, stake percent, staked and chill, baby. Stake it and forget it.
Yeah, Frax really does have the best ETH liquid staking derivative, honestly. Like it's the most elegant system, I think.
I think so. Actually, my question is though, Dave, like once we get up to like, Steph size, right? Like in that like hundreds of millions size, and is that going to be an issue? Or the billion side? I'm not even sure how large.
What would be the issues that would come up?
I mean, like, how much bribes do you need to keep bribing? Like, that's the first question I would have, right? Like, how much more bribes do you need to keep everyone happy and to incentivize the Frax ETH pool?
I think they'll just keep doing the same system that they do now with Frax, the USD stablecoin, which has, hundreds of millions of dollars in that pool. Who's to say they can't handle that hundreds of millions of dollars in the Frax ETH pool? So, and I think, they said that they would take the organic yield and use that towards the bribes as well. So there's more of a sustainable flywheel here with the Frax ETH for sure.
I hear you. But my counter to that would be on the stable side. Right. It's pretty low right now. Like there's paying out like 3% or something nominal. But for the Frax ETH and ETH pool, you pretty much got a bribe up to what the native staking yield is. Right, to kind of incentivize people to leave the sFrax ETH vault and go into the curve and provide the liquidity. Arguably, you have to be even more because of quote IL risk and other risks, et cetera, because it's not stake it and forget it. Right.
Well, I mean, they only have to do this until Shanghai, because once Shanghai hits, then you can just
it's 1 for 1.
Withdrawal.
Sure. Okay, so you think this is just a nice.
This would be like
in between leg until Shanghai comes. Okay. Exactly. All right. That's fair. I'll buy it. All right. DeFi Dave 1, capital K 0. All right. Moving on. All right. We have, this is my This is my favorite part. Oh, actually, no, we're coming up to my favorite part. We're gonna take a look at the AMO holdings today, guys, and we have a good week. We
We're
actually
up. We're
increased.
up.
Yes, we're up. We're up. But let's not get too happy, Dave, because I'm gonna pop that balloon real quick. But with this 18.5%, let's celebrate the win when we got it, right? We went from a low, 420 million to 500 million. We got 80 million increase in the curve AMO. And honestly, these are some wicked, wicked AMO moves. I wish I could have like a visualization of like how these AMO move so people could kind of appreciate and understand it better. Like imagine like this flow chart that is like a little GIF that we just see money flowing back and forth and like Frax being burned and Frax being minted into the pool and things like that. Just so people can kind of understand. I think we should do something like that. But
Interesting.
anyways, here we have 500 million our AMO, but the point of the AMO is to generate profit. So let's take a look at that page. So you see here that for the month of November, for the first 22 days, we generated $1.5 million in revenue.
Oh,
And
so
in
we're
terms,
not profitable.
we're not profitable. We're not profitable. And like I said last week, I think this month is going to be our first no profit November. So it's instead of no shave November, this is a no profit November.
Is this
And
because of the are you counting the Frax ETH bribes too?
of course,
Okay. Oh,
it's the
okay.
cost. It's the cost of running this whole
Operation.
thing, right? Like this whole operation. I can't just cherry pick.
Mm-hmm.
So that's and since you brought that up, actually, I think something fishy is going on with the bribes for the November 14th closing because it's not pulling in properly. So next week when we do the end of the month wrap, I need to go in and clean the bribes to make sure that is an accurate number because I think we went through another cycle of bribes, so we should be down much more. But anyways, I will be doing that next week for the next
Tune in next week to see how down we are.
yeah. Tune in next week to see how down we are is very accurate. Oh, RIP November. No profit November. All right. Quick summary here. We have AMO holdings of 500 mil. That was an increase of about 18% over last week. So win, yay. Profitability currently down 200K. But like I said, I expect a loss. And as Dave so eloquently put, tune in next week to see how down we are. Speaking of being down, Dave, this next section is my favorite section of the Frax Check, the liquidity check. And do you remember the theme of this Frax Check that I said earlier in the call?
Yeah.
Is the Belize make it
Please.
stop?
The pain
Belize.
continues.
All right, are you ready for this?
No.
Okay, I'm glad you said so because I wasn't ready when I saw it either. But we
What?
are
It's
at
down more?
is down more.
Jesus.
I couldn't believe it was possible to be down more. I was like, geez, we couldn't even like that slope is ridiculous. So we're at 65%, as you could read there yourself. And it is not great because we have pretty much retraced a lot of our traction for the last, months with this, scare in the market. But it is what it is. The market moves the way it moves. What's worse though, Dave, is like the Frax base pool is really imbalanced, right? 75 to 25.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's gonna be another chunk coming out of it like real soon. So tune in next week to see how down we are.
Yeah.
Here we have a comparison between the Frax base pool, the 3 pool, and the Frax 3 CRV. And just looking at it, you could visually see how close the Frax base pool and the Frax 3 CRV is getting. Like this is the first time that these two guys are like neck to neck ever since Frax BP just blew past the Frax 3 CRV.
I wonder
Earlier
why
this
that
year.
is. What's going on?
Dude, I don't know. I think people are just fleeing to safety, I
Oh, that's
guess.
true.
But like,
That makes sense.
I mean, honestly, this whole FTX thing even got me in the loop, right? Like with the whole Ave situation as well too today.
And we'll get
Like,
into that after it's a
yeah,
little Frax check.
we'll get into that after this. But dude, like, scurry. Everything's scurry. Hide your wife, hide your kids, you know. But yes, anyways, we are moving on to the meta pools. And as a reminder, these are pools being paired against the base pools. Examples like LUSD, Frax BP, and GUSD, Frax BP, things of that nature. And yeah, Dave, I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off. We're down bad.
Down.
We're down bad. We are down 35% from last week, and we pretty much retraced 12 weeks worth of traction.
Pain.
And
Pain.
dude, look at that peak though. We actually broke the 9-figure club, and then we kind of hung on for 1 week for a little bit, and then we're like, all right,
Down.
we'll see you later.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, this is pain. As I was putting this together, I kind of couldn't believe my eyes here, and this is like, I mean, this kind of speaks to all of Frax's partners who paired with the base pool, right? Like all of those communities are probably also shaken, and all of those stables are losing confidence as well. So
Yeah.
their liquidity is dried up, and this is a
A liquidity crisis.
health tracker of how the stable coins in general are doing. So
Yeah. Pain.
pain. All right, now we have to move on to but before I do that, any projects out there that's looking to get paired with the meta pool, please join the Flywheel Pod Telegram at Flywheelpod and DM any of us, and we'll try to get some assistance and get this number back up and pumping. All right, moving on. We also have, remember, the base pool could be paired against non-stables as well. All right, and some of these examples are like CVX, FXS, Frax base pool, and Badger Frax base pool, things of that nature. So if you're a non-stable project as well, or non-stable coin project, please also reach out. And you see here, this is actually very surprising, Dave. The non-stables only fell by like 10%, whereas the stables fell by 35%.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean, oof all around, but this is what the TVL looks like right now. We were at 80, now we're at 30. We're now at 55, so we lost 31% over the past week. This is pain, but hopefully, tune in next week.
Tune in next week.
But remember, the reason why we do all of this is to track one number, and that is the Frax supply. Oh, oops, I need to do a summary here real quick. So for the Frax base pool, we saw that we got down to like basically 450 million, and we are now 65% of the 3 pool. Pain. We see in the meta pools, we have a TVL of about 44 million. And for the TVL of all meta pools, we're at 55.2 million. Let's see that number back up in the 9 figures, please. Thank you very much. And
Please.
moving on. Lastly, like I said, the main reason why we're here is to track the Frax supply and grow it as big as possible. I'm happy to report that it's pretty much unchanged.
Even through all that.
Even through all that, we're unchanged. We're hanging out by a thread. But like I said, that Frax base pool rebalance is going to be a doozy. It's going to be a doozy. I expect, I would say probably 300 mil reduction on that, probably.
So we're going below 10 figs.
Oh, dude, we yeah. It's gonna be like 200 mil reduction. So we might go down. We might go down below 10 fig. We're hanging by a thread. We're hanging by a thread. But anyways, this is a number we care about. We're gonna focus on this. We have many big plans coming up for Frax Check and Flywheelpod overall. But before that, I'm going to hand it over to DeFi Dave for the governance roundup. My guy, how are we doing?
God, every day it just gets crazier and crazier. I mean, between DCG and Genesis, the news coming out of, I guess the ancestral relationship between the two. And now with Aave and CRV and whatever the hell Aave's pulling. What are your thoughts on, you said something to me before the call, and I'd like for you to reiterate to the audience back home what you think Aave has in mind in his quote unquote profitable trading strategy.
I think he is speed running us to max pain, because he was like, hey, CeFi is not safe. Now DeFi is not safe. Where are you gonna run to? Nowhere else. Speed running us to max pain so that he can just bid all of us and just shake us
Run
out.
to fiat as he's the only one left and just bids on
Yes.
all our bags.
Yes. Like, but I mean, what like I'm not trying to do too much mental gymnastics here, but I just feel like, why would you do that if you're really, I mean, I guess it's also testing how anti-fragile the protocols are. Like, theoretically, it's working exactly as designed. It's
Mm-hmm.
just the market isn't the illiquid market is causing the issue here.
Yeah,
So, and that's
exactly.
something that is outside of the lending protocols parameters, per
Mm-hmm.
se, because they don't control liquidity. But yeah,
Exactly.
there's that. That's my take.
Also, the
How about you, Dave?
CRV,
What do you
I
think?
mean, um, dude, that's an interesting theory. I feel like Avi just is one of those people that might just be a madman and like is like the Joker and just wants to see the world burn. I think that's a strong possibility. Like, I think this dude has just, I kind of like commend him like as like how balls to the wall he is, and
Mm-hmm.
like how he'll just like do the craziest, riskiest strategies and just have everybody on CT on their toes. Um, but this is why I know I'm not a profitable trading strategist or even try to be, but I like to watch and try to figure out what's going on. I mean, I find it interesting that the CRV USD white paper came out and
Oh
people
yeah,
are fawning over the design with their like, I think it's like lending, what's it called? Lending something, it stands for llama.
yeah.
What's it called?
I forgot what it's called, but it's like a
Lending
lending element to
liquidity,
it.
like AMO. I think
Yeah,
it's something like that. But I think our but DeFi is still building, DeFi is still here. There's spare market, but there's plenty of action. I think like the contagion's like still spreading and we won't hear everything. And so I think it'll take, I mean, if you think about it, the contagion started with the fall of Luna, and this is still like the remnants of that. It all started back then. So
yeah,
I think we're nearing the end, but it'll probably be like a few more weeks because there's nothing really bigger than like Genesis and DCG and maybe like whatever's going on with Silvergate. I can't imagine anything after that. Maybe this is like the AIG moment of of the crypto bear, and we're nearing bottom soon, especially with all the magazine covers and people declaring crypto is dead, which I view
yeah,
as positive signs. And hopefully we'll get some peace and quiet for a few months, if not a few years, and then like builders build, and we'll just wait till the next bull comes around, whenever that is.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you, man. Was there anything going on in the forums, the governance forums this week?
Yeah, there is. Action as always. We got a few things going on. So FI, between mainly with increasing fracs on AMOs, expanding frax ferry, and adding gauges. Just a few different things. So, first off, we're gonna start this off with FIP 128, which is to increase the Fraxland AMO allocation for the CRV pair, which is really funny. It's increased it from 5 million to, let me check. I believe it was 15 million, but I want to double check. Yes, it is to 15 million fracs. And that passed unanimously from 28 million to 0. Good timing. That's all I gotta say. Good timing.
Yeah,
um, Next up, we got FIP 132, which is to deploy Frax Ferry to Moonbeam. This will be the first time Frax Ferry is deployed. This passed with 34 million votes for and 0 against. This was authored by the Frax core team. And next up, we have FIP 133, which is the Xi Frax BP gauge. This was authored by Tencent, and looks like it's going to pass. It has 34 million votes for, 5.5 thousand votes against. FIP 134, which is okay. Give me one sec. Um, Looks like I hold on. 134. This is the RSR. So this is a reserve protocol Frax BP gauge. And this looks like this is going to pass with 34 million for and 5.2 thousand FXS against. So gauge is passing, no surprise there. And then some new proposals in the forum that aren't on snapshot yet are FIP 135, which is deploying Frax Ferry to Arbitrum, and FIP 136, which is deploying Frax Ferry to Optimism. So, forum's still active, still rolling. Frax Ferry sounds interesting. For everyone that's still watching Frax Check, tomorrow we're releasing our podcast with Sam Kazemian himself, the state of Frax, where he goes into a lot of things that haven't been discussed at all on any podcast, maybe a little bit in the Telegram group if you pay attention there. But one thing that he goes into is how Frax Ferry operates. And one thing I really like what he said yesterday was like, we call it a ferry because it goes under a bridge. I thought that was so clever. You know, it's like Frax's like own native. I guess you can call it. It's not technically a bridge; it's a ferry. It's like kind of like a messaging solution, and I think it's really elegant and provides Frax holders on any chain more peace of mind, knowing that their Frax will always be redeemable on mainnet.
Yep. And I think also, Dave, is like there aren't any additional trusts that you have to place, right? It's inherent in the stablecoin itself. I think this should have been a native feature for like every token, to be honest. Like I remember when we had Drake on, Drake was like, with the Frax lend mechanism, he's like, hey, if anybody wants to use the Frax lend mechanism for their protocol, like Frax would love to help, like kind of integrate that as well too. And I think this Frax Ferry thing might be just that. Like every token that, any project that has a token should have this. I don't see why would you not like have your own ferry? It
I
doesn't
know.
make sense.
Yeah. It's always like, a backstop, just in case, bridge fails and like you're stranded on a chain or an island. You need to get back to home base. You have the ferry there to save you.
Like, dude, honestly, this should have been defaulted into like an ERC20 contract level, right?
Like have a standard, the
Yeah,
Frax
but
ferry standard.
exactly. Because the folks who kind of created the ERC20, they didn't, foresee kind of like this
All the
multi-chain world and
bridges.
people are bridging every fucking where. Like, but imagine if an ERC20 has that inherent function inside it. Like, dude, that'd be dope.
Yeah. But we don't want to, we want to save, all the good tidbits for the podcast for
True.
tomorrow, but get ready, tune in because it's a really good one. But to sign us off here, if you want to like make sure that you catch that, don't forget to hit that bell button, subscribe to us, make sure you like, comment on this video. But one thing I like about Frax Check is on YouTube, we always have the same amount of viewers. Like we're always consistent, like every week. So those 200, 300, 400 people that always watch, like, thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. It means a lot that you guys are watching, getting like all the output you can. We do our best here to supply it to you. So yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure and don't forget, follow us on Twitter at Flywheelpod. You can join our Telegram group, join the discussion at Flywheelpod. You can follow me on Twitter at DeFi Dave 22.
You can follow me at 0xcapital_K.
And we'll see you next week.
Peace.